All right, you read the title. I'm 17 years old, and I will not be going to university next year to focus on business. So I'm currently in high school, and I want to walk you through how I got here, how I ended up making this decision, what my plan is, and the path I want to take. And hopefully, if you're in a similar position or you're in high school, you're in university, and you're considering dropping out, if you're in high school, you're considering maybe not going, this should hopefully give you some clarity on what to do. So, for myself, this has been a difficult decision to make, a very long winded one, and I'm going to explain how I got here and what was kind of involved in this process. And yeah, so I'll kind of take you back. So a lot of this started I'd say this started brewing in around grade 10. So this all culminates back to business. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're likely an entrepreneur or an aspiring one. I started in business, I'd say around grade 10. That was when I started my first agency. And as much as I was getting into things, I knew I loved it. Um, I started a landing page design agency. I helped e-commerce businesses increase the sales in their sales funnel by building them landing pages and increasing their conversion rates. It didn't go over particularly well. It wasn't a massive success, but it was a start to entrepreneurship for me. And at that point in grade 10, school was kind of a breeze. And I mentioned school as you'll see in the future. As I kind of explain the rest of the story, you'll see how that happened for me. And then grade 11, I ended up transitioning to running a software company. So I ran, it was a SaaS company. I ran it until the end of grade 12. And within grade 11, until the end of grade 12, until the end of grade 11. And within that grade 11 stretch of me running the software company, there were hints at me potentially not going to university. That was kind of the first time, especially when things started to pick up a little bit, where I had considered a possibility of taking a path where university didn't need to be present. Kind of going against the grain, against traditional education or whatever you call it, and, deciding to do entrepreneurship full time coming out of high school. And again, I still had a year and a half at that point. That was like middle of grade 11 to make that decision and decide really what I wanted to do. But that's what I was thinking up until that point. So the summer after grade 11 comes, this past summer for me, and I needed to start considering what I truly wanted to do and what I was committed to. And I went on a trip to Miami, surprisingly, which it'll come back. I'll explain that in a minute. But I went on a trip to Miami with a few of my boys, and we had a lot of conversation about what we truly wanted to do, as teenage boys do when they're on vacation. And I think a lot of it came down to, what do we really want in our lives? As existential as that sounds, do we want to take a traditional path? Like, is that what we're cut out for? Is that what we, truly want to live as? And like you'd probably guess, the resounding answer was no. We don't want to take a traditional path, and we really want to make something of ourselves, and we think that we can do it soon. So that was the summer going, before grade 12, and after grade 12, after that summer, after that trip, we really spoke about what that means to us and what our plan would be. And we decided that we were going to kick things into high gear and make sure that by next year, out of grade 12, we're going to be in a position where we don't need to go to university, we don't need to take a traditional path, and we can support ourselves financially doing entrepreneurship and doing what we love. So while we made the decision early on, I think it really hit me only about 2 weeks ago, because school started to pile up and my parents wanted me to apply to universities, and I need to have difficult conversations that any person who's in my position would need to have. And it was tough. I needed to tell my parents, especially my mom, who was very against it. She's very traditional in terms of the way she views education and, building a successful future. So I needed to get her on the right path and have her understand that I wasn't going to take a traditional path. And the good part was that I obviously had business under my belt too. I wasn't just blindly saying, oh, I'm going to make some stuff work. Like, oh, don't worry about me. I'm going to figure my shit out. Like, no, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do and how I was going to get there. But regardless, it was still difficult for her to get there, and she really only got there genuinely a few days ago. That's why I'm making this video. First video on my channel, by the way. I'm going to be documenting my process up until the end of high school and hopefully being very successful. So hit subscribe if that sounds interesting to you. You want to follow along on my so-called journey. Hopefully I can, make this interesting. But anyway, back to it. So yeah, I had some tough conversations, and I ended up deciding on the fact that I'm not going to university. And I want to talk about a few factors here that play a big role. The biggest thing for me is what I considered, and the way I explained to my parents, was like the pendulum of focus. So when I'm in school and I'm trying to run a business on the side, I also play competitive hockey and I go to the gym. Starting to go to the gym, as you can probably tell. I gotta get some work in there, but that's besides the point. School was taking a lot of my focus away from business, and I think that the true realization was, if I want to make it, then I need to, like, you can't really go 50-50 to get true results. Unless you're an absolute genius, and I like to consider myself somewhat smart, hopefully. Still, like, I needed to really go all in if I wanted to make it work. That was a big realization for me, and school wasn't cutting it. School just was taking too much of my time, and trying to get good grades and trying to prepare for university was taking it just wasn't worth it. So anyway, after really weighing out what I wanted to do and how if I had a plan to get there, which obviously I landed on one, I decided that university wasn't it. I really wanted to hone in on business and really take things to a new level. And it's been a scary decision. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It is a scary decision to make. Knowing that I'm going into next year without a plan B, that there really is no other path, like I need to make this work, is frightening but exciting. I think that it is something that kind of needed to happen for me to really get my shit together, and I realized that. So that's what I'm looking to do. Anyway, I'm rambling on quite a bit. I want to kind of tie this together with a situation that you may be in. People around you are going to convince you that it's a horrible idea. People around you are going to make you seem like you're crazy. If you know what you want in life, and the people that are giving you advice are not where you want to be, then you should really consider how much effect you want that advice to take on your decisions and the the decisions that you make towards your future. And I think that realization for me helped me see things from a clear perspective and weigh things by myself without letting other people's perspectives take too big of a role, because they're missing the context of my life and everything that I've done and where I'm at. So anyway, that's my decision. That's why I decided not to go to university. I'm going to be documenting my process from this day forward each week towards what will be a post-high school experience of not going to university, ideally. Well, I'm not going at this point, but hopefully I'm successful by that point. And if you're interested in sticking around and watching my journey and seeing how things go, then subscribe and comment if you're interested, you got any questions, or if you have any advice. I'm always obviously receptive. So, yeah, that's why at 17 years old, as a high school student, I am not going to university. Hopefully I'll see you back here for week 2, where I'll go a little bit more nitty-gritty into my businesses, my progress, and as these weeks build up, hopefully it'll convey a journey towards success for a year, and some big risk taking. So hopefully those risks pan out properly. But thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.